length is the name of this lesson. Now, if we want to understand this, I'm going to write 3 things on the board. Now, you're all going to pay attention. The first thing I have to do is I have to define a sector. Sector. What is a sector?
It's like an area.
Well, if this is a circle, then the sector is the area of this. So it's the area of this. It's like the area of a pizza slice.
Oh my.
Alright, that's a sector. Well, actually, the sector is just this piece. Was that appropriate?
Wait, what happened?
Nothing.
This is the way you slide it.
The sector. Okay.
Yeah, you yelled it. I thought something happened.
No,
I missed.
nothing. I just felt like doing it. Just throw you off. Alright, look. This is a sector. That's a sector of a circle. Alright? Arc. An arc is, if I have 2 points, an arc. That's an arc. Okay?
Are you okay?
Shh. Now, listen carefully. The measure of the arc, let's say this is AB, I might say the measure of arc AB, that's in degrees. If I say the arc length,
I thought it was the
the arc length,
No, my shoes.
You knocked the socks off of her.
it's alright, you're fine. The arc length, there's nothing in there. You can go to the bathroom.
Okay, well, I buy your shoes.
Yeah.
I actually wrote with my pen on the.
Alright, shh.
Arc.
The arc length is a length. Okay, so it's measured in feet or meters or inches. Okay, that has to do with the circumference. It's not just degrees like the degrees of a circle. It's the circumference. It's the length. Does that make sense? So the measure of the arc is in degrees, but the arc length is just a measure in length. Now, last thing, a segment. Now, this is important that you're able to understand the difference between a segment and a sector. Okay? A segment is if I draw this triangle here,
There's still room.
the segment is this part. You see? So look, everything that I'm highlighting is in green, okay? So the sector is this part, that's the sector. That's an arc, and that's a segment.
You know what I just realized? If we wanted to like get this part, like from YouTube, we won't be able to see it, right?
No.
I just realized that. Like,
Like,
should we take a picture of it then?
that way we can hear it.
It's okay. I can just draw it again. Look.
Okay.
No, because
Shh.
he's not.
I am recording. I just wanted that on the board so it would stay there. It's alright. Everything's okay. Okay, yes. Arc.
Priscilla, just chill.
Shh. So, a sector. Here, shh, class, let's be appropriately behaved. That's a sector. This is an arc. What is it, class?
Arc.
It's an arc. And
Segment.
nice, Marcus.
Wow.
A mark.
Mark. That was actually.
Huh?
Where is my
What?
thing going?
What did you call me?
A segment.
Mark.
It's really unsensitive.
Sorry, not you.
It's okay, I forgive you.
I know.
All right, look, and that's a segment. Do you understand? Do you guys understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Sector, arc, segment. Clear. Any questions? All right. Now, to find, look at this. To find the measure of the arc, let's say this is AB, and that's some angle in between them, x. To find the measure of arc AB, you would just do, it equals, it equals the angle x, right? Now look, how do I find a sector area? How do I find the area of a sector? That's the question.
Subtracting that from the whole. Like whatever the degree is, you subtract it from the whole.
Let's say I've got a circle and it's got radius 4, okay? And I cut out this sector here. What's this called? Sector. Cut out this sector here, and I tell you that this angle is 60 degrees. Okay.
300 for the roast. Right?
How do I find the area of this sector?
You divide it. 60 divided by.
Let's think about this. How can I find the area of a circle? What's the area of a circle total? It's pi r squared, right? But is this the whole circle that I'm interested in?
No, just the part
No.
of the sector.
How do I know how much of the circle it is? Using the angle.
You can divide 60 degrees.
Divided by,
360.
yes. So the sector area, look, the sector area is equal to, listen to this, the area of a circle, pi r squared, but it's not the whole area because it's not the whole circle, right? It's a fraction of it. So how do I figure out how much of a fraction it is? I take the angle theta and divide it by 360. Does that make sense to you guys? So what's theta in this case? What's the angle in this case?
60 degrees.
60 degrees. So in our case, what would the sector area be? Well, in our case, the sector area would be pi, what's the radius?
4.
4 squared times, what's the angle?
60.
60 over. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Okay, so you go into your calculator, you do pi times r squared is 4 squared, multiply by 60 over 360. You get 8.38.
That's it. So for pi to
And that's it.
memorize it, it's
3.14. But you should have. Yeah, you do.
Are we gonna be able to use a calculator?
Yes, yes. You will be able to use your calculators. Pi. Pi, go. Everyone make sure you can get this in your calculators. Yes.
I was just wondering how many more like tests do we have till the end of the year? Other than
This one and then 2 more.
So like 3 more? Oh wow, that's a lot.
Where's
Pi times. Everybody needs to be getting this in their calculator. This one.
It's right here.
That's very kind of you.
Oh.
And then do you have a calculator?
I was getting that from place when we got it. But I
What
do
was
have
that
one.
warning about infractions?
I do
again?
have a calculator.
Marcus, where's your calculator?
Bro, it's in my locker, should I get it?
Yes.
We put it on pi.
I'll be back.
You should bring it to class.
We just put 3.14 for pi.
No, you have the pi.
I got it. Wait, what
Where is it?
Wait, can you explain how to do it again?
Pi r
Where's
squared.
the pi button?
Pi is right
Hi, it's right there.
here. Times
I
4
knew that.
squared.
Wait,
4
how do you square it?
squared.
I don't see pi.
So yeah.
You put an exclamation.
Just do
Oh,
pi.
did
just copy that?
There's a square.
Where do you put the exponent?
Pi times 4. If we do a 1 by 1, that's 4 squared
They can use 60.
times 60 divided by 60.
So that's put 4 times 4. So
No, you can just do 4 squared times pi
I got this.
times 60 divided by 360.
Okay.
Equals 38.
Then I write the Chimney. I got it.
It's 360, right?
That's good.
You guys all need calculators. And listen, if you don't have a calculator yet, get a TI-30X. Look, let me show you how easy it is. Yes. Let me show you how easy it is. Let me show you. This is on YouTube.
Wait, I have a
Are
TI
you
30.
are you gonna post your video?
That was $40.
Shut up.
$13, guys. $13.
$13.
$13.
Oh, by the way, it's 120.
$14.50.
I'm not allowed to use
13 at Target, guys. Target.
Oh, I bought it at
I'm not allowed to use the calculator and the SAT because it's a pro.
I like that one that's like $150.
All right. Shh, shh, shh.
Oh, this one.
Okay. Do you guys understand?
Yeah.
All right. Let's Kahoot. Let's do one more and then you're gonna Kahoot. Okay. Here's a sector. This angle is 120 degrees and the radius is 5. Find the area of the sector. Go ahead, do it. Quick, fast. Everybody do it
So
now.
it's 5. 5. 5. It's not working. I'm just doing that. It is. That's 5.
The radius is 5, the angle is 120 degrees.
8.
So it's 5 times the radius.
26.2.
1.18. 26.18.
Oh wait, I forgot you guys have example problems on your thing.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
What?
Pretty crazy.
It's okay, you can use those for practice at home.
Practice.
Alright, look. It's pi, it's pi r squared times theta over 360. Guys, listen. Get familiar with theta over 360 because it comes up a lot. Okay? Pi times r squared is 5 squared. R is the radius. R in this case is 5. Theta in this case is 120 degrees. Pi 5 squared times 120 over 360. I do that in my calculator and I get 26.18. Does that make sense? Good. Any questions? Sure. Maybe.
I don't really get it.
All right, let's do this.
Oh, I know that commercial.
What time is the bell ring?
12:54, I think.
Can't think about what time the bell rings.
I want to watch this video.
Yeah, please.
For real,
You guys have a quiz to do today.
So can we do
What?
our watch?
Yeah. We can do both.
Please. Please.
Do what?
While you're watching the quiz, that's fine.
I
Or while
like
you're doing it.
Bet.
We do
Are
what?
we done with the lesson? We're done, right?
Nothing.
No, we have a whole other side of the page.
What? No.
You're just doing
We were discussing the other thing.
But do you think we have time?
We have 30 minutes off time.
If you guys focus, we definitely have enough time.
I finished up the food. I'm just going to my car. Yeah.
Did I sit on the couch?
5,
My stomach
4,
hurts.
3, 2,
My stomach hurts.
1.
I think a restful place would be good for me.
All right, we're doing the first 2 questions. Find the area of the sector.
Sector. Sector.
It's the same thing. You said.
Yeah, same thing. Sector's even highlighted in the same color.
Oh, really?
Priscilla, we have a math Spanish quiz
I
today.
didn't say the answer is the same color.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna finish too.
I'm gonna try to leave early because I really don't know how to do any of that.
What is it?
Like,
You
chores
shouldn't.
But I've been
It's
like
really weird
3
from
weeks,
here.
so I
Look.
haven't been here to study.
Pi r squared is 6 squared times what's theta in this case? What's theta?
Data 90.
90. Okay. 90 over 360.
I have no idea.
Yeah, plug that in your calculator, you get 28.27. Good job. Priscilla's in the lead. Find the area of the sector. Come on, pi r squared times theta over 360. Simple as that.
No, I can't do that in my head.
You need a calculator. Gotta do it now. Wow, what's happening here? All of a sudden everyone got the answer at the same time, I guess. Huh?
Well, wait. Don't do it yet.
Look, pi times 8 squared times theta is 135 over 360.
Are you okay now?
Equals 75.4. Good job. All right. Who's in the lead? Priscilla is in the lead still.
Oh, and that's actually me.
It is?
No, I'm actually serious.
Why wouldn't it be
He's
you?
Priscilla slash I'm Priscilla.
Nice.
Wow.
Good job.
Good job.
All right. Praise God.
Great job.
All right. Now, so that's the area of the sector. Pi, look, pi r squared times theta over 360. Now look, this is a segment. No more noises. The segment is found by getting the area of the sector. You see how this whole thing would be the sector? This whole thing, look, this whole thing is the sector. But then you subtract the triangle out of it, and you're left with just that part. You see? Look, you see this? This whole thing would be a sector, but if I subtract the triangle out, I'm left with the segment. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
Wow.
Okay, so
Let's give an example. Here on your paper, you guys can follow along on your paper. Look. All right, this one you got to follow along with me. Look. You first find the area of the sector. Look, the area of the segment equals the area of the sector minus the area of the triangle. Does that make sense? So the area of the segment in green equals the area of the sector, the thing in blue, the whole thing I'll outline in blue. That whole thing is the sector minus the area of the triangle, which is this thing in red. Okay? So the segment, Mr. Corey, is the sector, this whole thing, minus the triangle. Does that make sense? So how do I find the area of a sector? We just learned this. What's the area of the sector?
Pi times
Pi,
4 squared.
4 squared, good, times, what's the angle? What's the angle? 90. It's 90 over 360, right? So it's pi times 4 squared times 90 over 360 is 12.6. 12.6 square meters, you see? Okay, any questions on that?
That's how you find the.
That's how I find the area of the sector. But in order to find the segment, I have to find the area of the triangle and subtract it, right? But look, if this is 90 degrees, that's 4. What do I know about that side right there? That's also 4, right? Because they're both radii. So if that's 4 and that's 4, then what's the area of that triangle?
16.
What's the area of a triangle, the formula? It's 1/2 base times height. The area of a triangle
So then 4.
is 1/2 the base of the triangle times the height of the triangle. Okay? So it's 1/2, what's the base of the triangle? 4, and what's the height of the triangle?
4.
4, good. So it's 1/2, 4 times 4. What's 4 times 4?
16.
Half of 16 is
8.
8 meters squared, good. So the area of the segment, which is what I'm looking for,
And
equals
this is what we have to learn to do.
12.6 minus the area of the triangle, which is 8.
So once we find the sector, then we have to.
Find the area of the triangle. And your answer is
Wait, why is it
4.
1/2?
What?
Why is it 1/2?
Because that's the area of a triangle. Guys, look, listen, pay attention carefully. This is something you should have learned in middle school. Okay? If I have a triangle, and this is the base of the triangle here, this is the base, and this is the height. Well, the area of this triangle, the area is 1/2 the base times the height. Okay? Does that make sense? Why is it 1/2 the base times the height? Well, look, what if I drew it out a little bit such that instead of a triangle, it was a rectangle? Well, what would the area be of that rectangle? What's the area of a rectangle? Length times width, or just base times height, right? But look, the triangle is half of a rectangle. You see that? Does that make sense? This triangle is half of the rectangle. So the area of a triangle is not base times height, it's half of base times height. You guys clear on that? Any questions on that? Okay. All right. So now that's how you find the area of a triangle. But look,
Is it always gonna be 1/2?
it's always 1/2 base times height. That's the area of a triangle.
Based on, yeah.
Okay, now listen to me. How do you find the area of a segment? You get the area of the sector Sorry about that.
Can I take a picture of that?
Yeah, sure. How do you find the area of the segment? Listen. How do you find the area of the segment? You get the area of the sector, this whole thing, and you subtract the area of the triangle. How do you find the area of the sector? It's pi r squared times theta over 360. How do you find the area of the triangle? It's 1/2 base times height. Once you get both areas, you do the blue minus the red, or the sector minus the triangle, and you get the segment. Does that make sense? Area of the segment is the sector minus the triangle. Any questions on that?
So where does this end to the power mean?
What? Meters squared. Because the units are in meters.
So it doesn't mean anything specifically?
That's just the units,
Okay.
right? Area is in square units. Okay? All right. All right, your turn. Find the area of the segment. You got to start with the area of the sector, then find the area of the triangle, and then subtract them.
So 90, right? 90 is the radius.
The angle.
90 is the angle. So then
The radius is 3.
times
I'm trying to move the mouse out of the thing.
90 divided by 360. Alright, 2.35. And then with that, then do we need what you call it?
To get the sector, so okay, you get the sector first, which is what we just learned.
Wait, how did you
And then
do
You
subtract
got,
the
you got
triangle.
2.35,
So
right?
it's pi times what's the radius?
What do you do after you do the number? Right?
3 squared times
You
the
base
angle,
level.
90 over 360.
I got 2.35.
So the sector is 7.07. So no, not yet. So it's 7.07, so you write that down. Now the area of the triangle is 1/2, so 0.5 times 3 times the height here is also 3. So it's, sorry, so it's 4.5. Does that make sense? You write down the area of the triangle is 4.5. And then you subtract them. 7.07 minus 4.5. That's how you get the answer. Does that make sense? Alright, look. Shh. Quiet. So remember, the area of the segment is the area of the sector minus the area of the triangle. So I have to find the area of the sector first. It's pi, what's the radius? What's the radius? 3 squared times pi times 3 squared times what's the angle? 90 over 360. If you plug that in your calculator, you get 7.07. Okay? Then you find the area of the triangle. If this is 3, then this is also 3 because they're both radii. So the area of the triangle is what? What's, guys, everyone should be paying attention. What's the formula for the area of the triangle? It's 1/2. So 1/2, what's the base?
3.
And the height? 3. So 3 times 3 is 9. Half of that is 4.5. Good. So I found the sector and the triangle. So now to find the segment, I do the sector, which is 7.07, minus the triangle, which is 4.5, and I get 2.57. Any questions on that? All right. Now, last part of the lesson.
Yay!
Shh, shh, shh. Last part of this part of the lesson is probably the easiest part.
Oh, I thought you were doing
It's finding the arc length. Okay? Shh, shh. The arc length. So look, if I've got a circle here, and I've got some arc from here to here, okay? I want to find the length of that arc. So let's say that this is 60 degrees here, okay? Now, I want to find the distance from here to here around the circle. Does that make sense? So I'm not going all the way around the circle, I'm going just a fraction of the way. Does that make sense to you guys? So how do I find the distance all the way around the circle? What's the word for that, for a circle? Circumference. How do I find the circumference of a circle? The circumference is 2, everyone pay attention. Look at this. If you miss this, you're missing something that you should already know. So let's watch. The circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. What's the circumference of a circle?
2 pi r.
What's the circumference of a circle?
2 pi r.
What's the circumference of a circle?
2 pi r.
What's 2 pi r? What's 2 pi r? What's 2 pi r? Good job, good job. That's right. Good job. Okay, so the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. So the arc length isn't just 2 pi r, it's 2 pi r times the fraction. What's the fraction?
60.
In this case, it's 60, but it's theta over 360. You see? Theta over 360.
Like theta?
Theta is just an angle.
Wait, how do
Theta.
you put 2 pi r into here?
Theta. Okay? It's an angle. Okay, so let's say the radius here is 4. Then the arc length would be 2 times pi times, what's the radius?
2.
What's the radius?
4.
4. What's theta?
2 pi r.
Theta is
4?
60
No, you don't.
over 360.
Times
I plug that in my calculator. 2 times pi times
4.1.
4 times 60 over 360 is 4.19.
Oh, you round up?
Sure. Does that make sense? Rachel, what are you doing?
Very good question.
Cahooting.
All right.
Cahooting.
Shh, don't do that. Don't do that. You're missing it. You miss it, it's on you. The test will come eventually. All right. So arc length equals 2 pi r times theta over 360. What is it? Arc length is 2 pi r times theta over 360. You guys got that? All right, let's Kahoot.
Let's Kahoot. All right, find the arc length. 2 pi r times theta over 360.
You okay?
2 pi r.
Okay.
I'm so tired.
Oh no, we only have like 4 minutes left.
We're not gonna have time for your video. We're
It's
starting
okay.
now.
You're gonna have to do the quiz after this.
Can you
2
put the
pi
link on my
r
CCA?
times theta over 360. It's in my video.
Yeah.
That's why we're gonna watch while we do the quiz. That's what he said.
2 pi r times theta over 360.
I love this life that I'm living.
Did you write this song?
What?
Did you write this song?
How long did it take?
I think it's the one that got the song stuck in my head a while ago.
Wow.
Is it like a special background to it? Like you write the
Are you
song?
story?
Yeah, it's about Jesus.
Oh, where did you shoot it? Was
All
that
right,
the
at the
street?
beach, my wife filmed it for me. Oh, you're talking about the other video?
Yeah.
I was at my house.
I thought you were holding your phone like this.
I was.
I think
That's the old video. Alright,
That's my
2
favorite
pi,
one.
shh,
Yeah.
2 pi r, 2 pi times 9 times theta is 120 over 360. Are you guys following this?
Yeah.
So it's 2 times pi times 9 times theta is 120 divided by 360 is 18.85. You guys understand that?
Yup.
Wow, I have seen it all now.
All right, good. Last one, same thing. Arc length.
You know what I saw? Everything.
16.
Wait, so it's always 2? Or is this one gonna be like. Would this be
Okay.
16 R? 16 pi R?
2.
The radius is r. So what's the radius of this one?
You get 16.
16.
I pray. That was the last one, right?
So it's 2 pi, the radius is 16, the angle is what? What's the angle?
45.
45 over 360. So I get 2 pi times 16 times 45 over 360 is 12.57.
I got 12.56.
It's, you just gotta round it.
Okay. Nice. Good job.
In second place.
Hot pants one.
Who's off pants?
How? I got 5 out of 5 too.
Oh,
Yes,
yes.
you got it.
No,
You got
I
All right, quiz is on my CCA. Quiz, it's 4 minutes. Quiz is on my CCA. Get it started.
2 minutes.
Keep on our stuff now. Keep on the music video.
Calculator makes life so much easier.
Sure, but you got to do the quiz. If you don't do the quiz now, that's fine, but you have to do it today.
What time does
Okay,
it
Greg,
close?
put on.
At
Matt,
midnight.
are you gonna play
Mr.
football?
Neer.
Huh?
Yes.
At midnight.
Please. It's gonna be so live.
Mr. Neer.
Yes?
I don't know if
Every
you look
day?
at homework today.
What'd you say?
We get
I
destroyed.
don't know if I'll be able to do homework tonight.
I'd mess
Okay.
him up every day in practice.
Oh, you guys have homework too. Make sure you check my CCA.
We have 5,000 subscribers.
5,000? How?
How do you have so many subscribers?
Because I used to have a bunch of videos. I had one video that had like 500,000 views on it.
Did YouTube send you like the thing yet?
What?
Why do you make it loud?
The cow thing, whatever, you know what I mean?
I can't
The
hear.
crystal cube YouTube stop thing, you know what I mean? The YouTube award thing? Don't you get one when you hit 1,000?
Why'd you stop? Why'd you let
I can't hear.
I can't see, it's so white.
You guys can't hear. Mr. Renee, why'd you take the other one down?
Because I wanted to. Hey,
Everyone shh.
Yes, it has restored. Yes, it's my reward. No, I didn't earn it. All the glory's yours. All the glories of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Yes, just look what I've become. Yes, just look what He's begun. All the followers of Christ through Jesus, you and I are one. And all the people that are listening to this message, who's never heard of Christ, or just haven't yet accepted. There's no reason to be oppressed. It's faith only exclusive to those who choose to believe. That means every single human is open to you. And I'm hoping that you hear me clearly. It's open to you. I'm hoping that you hear me clearly. Jesus died upon a cross for you. He washed away your sins. And though He died that day, He conquered death and rose again. He was expected. After 3 days, He resurrected. He spent 40 days on earth and then He ascended to be seated with His Father at the throne at His right hand. And He promises you'll never be alone. So open your heart. It's time for a new start. You've been wallowing too many days up in the dark. The light is shining forth from the glory of the sun. Receive Him as your Savior and your new life has begun.
What was that?
They're off on the beach with those.
No, it was first thing in the morning. It was like at sunrise.
So how did you feel about bright?
Open your heart. It's time for a new start.
It's showing up super bright out.
The light is shining forth from the glory of the sun. Receive Him as your Savior and your new life has begun. Working together with Him then, we appeal to you now to receive the grace of God in
It's almost over.
For He says, in a favorable time I listened to you,
It's like that.
and in a day of salvation I have helped you. Behold, now is the favorable time. Behold, now is the day of salvation.
Will you love?
That's my favorite
Yeah.
song.
Yeah.
That's my favorite song.
That's what he said.
Please love.
We should have a class single one day.
Yes.
Karaoke.
Wait, Mr. Renier, for this segment,
No,
for the, to find the segment, you do one half.
It's right there, it's right there, it's right there, it's right there.
You guys have to go see.
Please.
Mr. Renee,
2.8. I love this life.
Mr. Renier,
Yay.
Should I skip forward?
No. Love is like that. Yo, that sounds such a baby.
you should check your next class.
You guys are funny. All right, thank you guys. All right, listen, you got homework. It's on my CCA.
Mr. Renee.
You're welcome. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Nice day.
Please love.
Go, Sam, go. I'm leaving you. Alright, everybody, here Oh, don't worry, your dignity will fill this
Got any sand?
She told me though that I could get
flame, bro.